do, baby? Welcome to Fantasy Football Quick Hits with Casey Smith. Got the man, the myth, the legend, the living hero in the flesh. How we doing? That's him.
That's me, all right. Doing pretty well, man. I'm just excited for these fantasy semifinals to kick off.
Yeah, are you in the playoffs?
I am in the playoffs. I got two matches this week.
Oh, let's go. I didn't make my playoffs. It's been a rough year.
Man.
It's been a rough year for Josh Gordon's plug. It's the name of the squad. He's let me down. Sony Michel's let me down. Damian Williams was a keeper. He's let me down.
Don't worry, dude. Everyone was loving Sony Michel. Like, Field Yates and Matthew Berry said he was a league winner. So, I mean.
No, I could vouch he's a league loser.
Yeah, league loser, actually.
That's what from here on out, Sony Michel. It's Sony Michel, the league loser. Well, let's get right into this. This is a big week. This is an important week. Like you just said, with the playoffs going on. So we're going to hop right into this with would you rather get with this or get with that? And we started off Ryan Tannehill at home against Houston or Kirk Cousins on the road at the Chargers.
I'm definitely going to get with this and go with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, he's been playing great, and he's got a way better matchup against Texans defense, who just got torched by, Drew Lock and the Broncos. Who would have thought that? So, yeah, I'm definitely going to fire up Tannehill this week. It kind of sucks because I'm playing him, actually. But yeah, I would start him.
And Cousins, we don't know if Thielen's back. Next up, would you rather get with this or get with that? Emmanuel Sanders or Deebo Samuels? We're not trying to combine them into one here. They're honestly against Atlanta.
I don't think it really matters who you pick here. I think they're both going to probably put in the work against Atlanta. They suck. Their secondary's terrible, and Trufant's out for the year now. But I'm going to have to go with this with Emmanuel Sanders just because he's the number one on the squad. So he's definitely going to be heavily featured in their passing attack.
Does he throw for another touchdown this week?
I don't know. I bet you they'll pull some trickery for sure against the Falcons. Like, they suck. They'll definitely fall for it.
A nice end around, maybe a rushing touchdown this week instead of a passing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I like Sanders this week, though. And like you mentioned, Atlanta's secondary is shit right now.
Oh, yeah. And they lost Trufant, too, so.
And this is coming from a Falcons fan.
Yep.
On your end, so. And finally, would you rather get with this or get with that? Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp on the road in Dallas?
Well, Cooper Kupp's really taking a back seat to Robert Woods after the emergence of Tyler Higbee without Everett there, taking away a lot of targets over the middle of the field. But actually, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to take Cooper Kupp this week, mainly because Robert Woods is going to be covered by Byron Jones probably the majority of the time, who's a pretty solid corner. So I expect Cooper Kupp to get a lot of looks.
Yeah, and Kupp will have Jordan Lewis on him, who's pretty solid out of the slot, but Lewis is smaller. I think Kupp breaks one. I could see a multi-touchdown game here for Kupp. I like that call. Next, we're going to jump right into start or sit 'em. First up, you starting or sitting Josh Allen at Pittsburgh?
I mean, depending on who you got to back him up, I would probably start Josh Allen this week, though.
Really?
I think he's probably going to finish 9 or top 10 this week. I just think he's accounted, besides last week, he's accounted for 8 straight weeks of 2 touchdowns. So I think he can get back on track against Pittsburgh, maybe a rushing touchdown even.
That Pitt playing in.
I just like Josh. They're looking for redemption after playing the Ravens. And, I mean, they've played them pretty well. They only lost by a touchdown. So, and, I mean, they're a solid squad. This is definitely going to be a good football game. But I think I'm going to start Josh Allen.
If you're a betting person, take the under in that game. Next up, you starting or sitting Kareem Hunt at Arizona?
I'm going to start Kareem Hunt just because Arizona's bottom barrel run defense, and he's definitely getting a lot of touches. He's getting catches, too. He's taking away a little bit from Chubb. He's getting touchdowns, so I would definitely start him as a flex this week. I
personally, I like Kareem Hunt better than I like Nick Chubb.
Really?
Always have. Um,
Oh, I actually think Kareem Hunt is a better runner as well.
that's what I mean, not from a fantasy standpoint, purely
I
from a
thought
football standpoint.
no,
I'm a huge Kareem Hunt guy. I thought that the Chiefs could have won a Super Bowl with him. I still think it was a mistake that they cut him. But yeah, I personally,
the suspension.
yeah, that I don't know. I just don't think you give up on a young running back of that caliber that soon. I understand what happened, but moving on, you're starting or sitting Tyler Lockett at Carolina.
Honestly, I'm gonna sit Tyler Lockett this week, just because he's been so inconsistent these last few weeks. He's been pretty bad, been counting for actually a 0 point game. Uh, so it looks like the Seattle offense isn't in sync. However, knowing that prediction, I guarantee he's gonna probably have a great game. The Seahawks are gonna pound out the Panthers because the Panthers have just given up on the season. But I
Yeah,
think
I agree with you there to sit Lockett. It has the feeling that DK Metcalf's become Russell Wilson's go-to guy.
yeah, he's starting to for sure.
Next up, you starting or sitting Melvin Gordon versus Minnesota.
I'm going to start Melvin Gordon, I think, just because I see him getting the majority of the touches out of the backfield in that game. I would lock him in as probably a low-end RB2 this week, but I would definitely start him in a two running back league if I had the opportunity.
Next up, you starting or sitting Raheem Mostert versus Atlanta, who seemed to take a stranglehold on that number 2 running back job.
The number 2 role, you think? It seems like he's snagging the starting role just about. I mean, he led them in touches last week, and he's getting a lot of looks. So I would start him this week. I mean, kind of sucks I'm playing against him again in the but I definitely think it seems like he is taking the role and has become the 1A to the 1B of Breida, and I guess Tevin Coleman is now just second string.
Which is a wild turn of events in San Francisco. It must be nice to have that much backfield depth.
Yeah, right.
And finally, you starting or sitting Darius Slayton against Miami.
I'm gonna start him just because it's gonna be Eli's last probably home game that he's gonna be playing in, and it seems like he has a connection with Slayton last week, hitting him with 40 and 50-yard touchdowns.
Mm.
So his way, and I mean Miami, they're nothing special on defense, so I could definitely see him slipping through for a touchdown this week too.
I actually like Slayton. I think that's a great find by the Giants.
Oh yeah, he's taking over the number 1 receiver role, it seems, in that offense.
Yeah, especially with Shepard playing, Shepard and Tate sharing slot reps. And Tate's always been a little better in the slot than on the outside, but Shepard too. Shepard's always been better in the slot. So, wide receiver controversy in New York.
Oh,
Next up, we're going to jump to over-unders. Last week, you were 5-3, a couple close calls. Lamar Jackson being one. We had over 21, and you finished with 20.8. So depending on the league you're in, maybe he got to 21, but
half point here, so we're going by half point.
so then yeah, he was at 20.8 then. We're gonna start it off with Christian McCaffrey versus Seattle, over or under 22 fantasy points.
I'm gonna go with under here. I just feel like the Panthers have kind of given up on the season. They lost their head coach. They lost their quarterback. He's probably going to be traded at the end of the year, they're saying. So they just have no heart out there, I feel. I mean, McCaffrey is the offense, so if they get anything going against Seattle, he'll probably score some points. But I just see them really deflated. So I'm going to take the under.
I like the under call there, especially. I mean, I know Seattle's defense isn't spectacular like we've seen in years past, but they can still game plan to take a player out. I like that call there. Next up, Dak Prescott at home against the Rams, over under 20.5.
I'm going to take over here just because I don't think the Cowboys are very good. But just look at last week. I mean, they looked terrible for 3 quarters, and then Dak came out and somehow put up 17 points in the fourth. So I think he can still get over 20, and probably a game that's going to be pretty high scoring, I think.
I think he's got a quiet shootout potential.
Yeah, I do too.
Next up, Alvin Kamara versus Indy, over under 17.
I'm going to take under here. 17, and he's playing a pretty stout defense in Indiana. And he hasn't really been the same this year since the injury. It's probably maybe still hurting him some. I don't know, but it just seems like he doesn't have the explosiveness that he used to have. He hasn't been able to get in the end zone. Also, Latavius Murray's really eating into his snaps because he's been playing pretty well. So I'm gonna take under on this.
Yeah, something's up. Something's up with Kamara. Next up, Zeke versus the Rams, over and under 17.3.
I'm gonna take under here. I think. I just think the Rams, they might go up a little bit, and like how is we playing from behind? They'll still run the ball. I don't know if Zeke will be able to get in the end zone. The Rams do have a good defense. They have a solid front with Aaron Donald there. I'm going to take the under here.
Next up, Tyreek Hill versus Denver, over under 15.5.
I'm going to take the under here too. I mean, I could always be wrong because Tyreek Hill can hit like a 60, 70-yard touchdown out of nowhere, but I think Chris Harris is going to be on him, and Denver's been playing quietly a lot better lately, and their defense is playing really good. So I think they'll be able to contain Tyreek Hill, and he's going to get the under.
Yeah, this matchup worries me a little bit for Tyreek. Like you mentioned, he could always hit that home run deep ball, but Denver's defense, especially secondary, has been playing great recently. And a tough matchup for him. Next up, Joe Mixon versus New England, over under 13.5 fantasy points.
I mean, honestly, Joe Mixon hype train the last few weeks has been playing well, but I'm going to take the under here. New England's just been the best team, I'm pretty sure, in the league against the running back, giving up running back fantasy points. So I'd still think that their front is going to be able to stop him from putting up any high numbers this week.
I could see New England shutting them out this week. I could see a absolutely dominating performance from them.
I agree.
That's going to do it.
And they do have the film, so.
They do. That's right. They do have the film on the Bengals because everybody knows that the Patriots need to film the Bengals to be able to beat them.
That was a shout out from Brian Smith there.
Shout out Brian Smith. The Bud Knight.
The Bud Knight in the house.
Oh, I see him peeking over the shoulder there. What's up, Brian? Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. I'm glad to be here. He said glad to be here.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week. We'll be back. I think we have one more week with the fantasy championships. We'll be back next year.
Yeah, can't wait. This is going to be a hard week, though. I really had some trouble with these over and unders, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's how we do it here at TMBS. We don't make anything easy.
Hard decisions.
We put you to work.
I got to make my money.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how we do. We'll hopefully a 6-0 week.
I'd like that very much. We'll see, and some fantasy semifinal wins too.
Yeah, and best of luck in your fantasy endeavors this week. Hope you win them both.
Thank you. I'll let you know how they go next week.
That's it. We'll see. Let's go Jets.